Good morning, my average sports guys. My name is Carlo Pessina. I am your host, and welcome to the Average Sports Guy channel. Today's video is going to be an awesome tournament as we continue our series on asking ChatGPT who the greatest of each sport is. And today is basketball as we ask ChatGPT to come up with a 64-person March Madness-like tournament to determine who the greatest basketball player of all time is. So before we get started, make sure that you comment below, who is your greatest basketball player of all time? And also, second question, who's your greatest basketball player of all time outside of Michael Jordan and LeBron James? Because I know a lot of people are going to say either Michael or they're going to say LeBron. And before we get into the video, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to the channel. It would mean a lot to me, and stay tuned for daily sports content. So without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, so getting into this tournament here, we got some pretty interesting matchups, and I looked over some of these, and I really like them. So starting off with Michael Jordan and Bill Walton. Rest in peace to Bill Walton. Absolutely loved Bill Walton. He was a great player, especially in college. But you know, we are going with Michael Jordan, and it's pretty straightforward on that one. Rick Barry and George Mikan. Ooh, you know, I know that George Mikan played back then when they had, like 8 teams or 10 teams, something like that. And I don't believe that they had a 3-second rule. But I always like going with the players who were one of the best in their era. So I'm going with George Mikan over Rick Barry, even though Rick Barry was a fantastic shooter. Moses Malone and Tracy McGrady. Man, T-Mac on the Magic. Talk about a prime scorer. That was my dude. But Moses Malone, look at his stat sheet on Basketball Reference. That guy has some unbelievable seasons. I think he's one of the most underrated big men ever. I'm going with Moses Malone. Jerry West and Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard was really good in his prime, for sure. But we got to go with the logo, man. I mean, that guy was just awesome. Awesome at scoring the basketball. So efficient. Won championships. I'm going with Jerry West. Tim Duncan and Robert Parrish. Robert Parrish was a fantastic player, but going with the big fundamental. I mean, I grew up in the Tim Duncan era. This guy was so efficient. Pretty much averaged 20 and 10, 20 and 12, night in and night out. The Spurs were always in title contention. I'm going with Tim Duncan. And they were always in title contention in one of the hardest eras ever. I mean, you had the Lakers, you had the Mavericks, you had the Suns. Like, they had tons of competition. Kings. Isaiah Thomas, number 25 seed, and Clyde Drexler, number 40 seed. Ooh, this is a good one here. Isaiah Thomas was arguably the best point guard of his era, and was a leader of some of those fantastic bad boy Pistons teams. So that resonates with me. When you can be one of the best players in the league at your position, not saying Clyde Drexler wasn't, but Isaiah Thomas definitely was. He's moving on. Shaq and Wes Unseld. Now, even though I think Shaq is one of the most, he is someone that could have been even greater, even for how dominant he was, especially for that 6-7 year stretch, the last few years with the Magic, and then his time with the Lakers. He could have been even better, especially if he worked on his free throws. Oh my goodness, the dude could have averaged 40 points a game, but I'm still going Shaquille O'Neal, the most dominant force in NBA history. At his peak, Kevin Garnett and Walt Frazier. Walt Frazier was a really good basketball player, but KG, man, that guy was a total package. Like, one of the best defensive big men ever. He could also shoot. He could pull up. And had great mid-range game. He could shoot threes. He was a fantastic defensive player. I'm going Kevin Garnett. Magic Johnson and Dave Cowens. Dave Cowens, great basketball player, but I'm going with Magic Johnson here for sure. Chris Paul and Kawhi Leonard. At their peak, Kawhi Leonard for sure. Kawhi Leonard is one of the most talented basketball players ever. I mean, the dude's great defensively, great mid-range game, good inside game, really good efficient scorer, good at the line, but he can't stay healthy. And I can't put him over a guy like Chris Paul, who's one of the greatest point guards ever. I think Kawhi Leonard at his peak is better than Chris Paul, but I'm not picking Kawhi Leonard over Chris Paul. Chris Paul moves on. Sorry, Kawhi. Oscar Robertson and Pau Gasol. I love watching Pau Gasol, especially when he played for the Lakers. And many people forget how good he was on the Memphis Grizzlies. I mean, he was a beast. But Oscar Robertson, I mean, I think before Russell Westbrook, he was the last person to average a triple double in a regular season. And the dude was just a fantastic basketball player. I'm going Oscar Robertson. David Robinson and Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce was good, but especially when he talks about how much better he was than like some people in his era, about how he's better than Dwayne Wade and he's better than LeBron. Like, come on, dude. No, you weren't. David Robinson, the Admiral, was a freaking freak. Guy won an MVP, won an NBA championship. He was a fantastic player. I'm going David Robinson here. Bill Russell and Pete Maravich. Now, Pistol Pete was electric, man. Like, go on YouTube and watch that guy's highlights. Like, he could do stuff with the basketball that no one could ever do. Let me drink this coffee. But I'm going Bill Russell. I believe he had 11 championships. If you count his time as a basketball coach, and he was a part of just some of the greatest, some of the greatest basketball teams ever. So Bill Russell, it is. Scottie Pippen and Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook, in his peak, I mean, he averaged triple doubles in seasons. He was so good. But I'm going Scottie Pippen here. Scottie Pippen was just so good defensively, just a great basketball player. Steph Curry and Carmelo Anthony. Melo was a great scorer, but not as good as Steph Curry. And Steph Curry is the greatest shooter of all time. So Steph Curry moves on, for sure. I think at number 12 ranking of Steph Curry is pretty accurate, too. Like, I know some people have him in their top 10. I don't quite have him there because then you got to push out someone like a Larry Bird and all that kind of stuff, and I'm just not willing to do that yet. Karl Malone and Bob Cousy. Cousy was a great player, best point guard of his time, won many championships, but the mailman, man, I mean, that guy was a prolific scorer, won an MVP, finished second another season, led his team to the finals. I'm going Karl Malone. Now we're going to get into the other side of the bracket. LeBron James and George Gervin. George Gervin, the Iceman. That's one of the best nicknames ever, man. But he's not surpassing LeBron James. Just a level of consistency for 20-something years. He's moving on. Bob Pettit and Steve Nash. See, I'm probably a little biased here because I grew up watching Steve Nash and I grew up watching those Phoenix Suns teams that were electric when Steve Nash won back-to-back MVPs. I know he was a liability in defense. I get that. But Steve Nash with the basketball in his hands was dynamic. Fantastic shooter as well. Great three-point shooter. Great free throw shooter. Going Steve Nash. Julius Erving and Ray Allen. Talk about a great shooter. Ray Allen it was. But Julius Erving, man, I mean, the guy was a total package. Some people have him in their top 10 basketball players ever. He's like top 15 to top 20 for me. Ray Allen is not. So he's moving on Julius Erving. Giannis and Anthony Davis. First of all, I don't even know if I would have Anthony Davis in my top 50 players ever. Maybe. He's just too inconsistent and he's too injured. Giannis has always been a great player. Year in and year out. He's always in MVP consideration. I'm going Giannis here. Larry Bird and Nate Thurmond. Nate Thurmond was a good basketball player, but, I mean, Larry Bird, talk about a great all-around player. You know, someone who could defend, pass, shoot, a winner, multiple-time MVP. Larry Bird moves on. John Stockton and Patrick Ewing. I think John Stockton is one of the most overlooked point guards ever. The dude has the most assists by far. I don't know if any player in NBA history will ever surpass his assist record. And he was a great defensive point guard too. Like people forget that. And Patrick Ewing was a very good player, but I know people think he's like a little underwhelming. I don't. I still think he was a great basketball player on some Knick teams that overachieved, in my opinion. So I'm going John Stockton here, though. I mean, one of the best point guards ever, especially over the last 35 years. Kobe Bryant and Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman is one of the best defensive players ever. He was great at block shots. He could get tons of rebounds. He was a key part. The Bulls win championships. But you got to go Kobe Bryant, man. 5 rings, 1-2 without Shaq. He's a prolific scorer, probably the best ISO player like ever. Kobe Bryant was tremendous. Rest in peace, Kobe. Miss you, man. I actually just watched some highlights of Kobe the other day, especially from his final game against the Utah Jazz when he scored 60 points, and that was just amazing. I know his shooting percentage wasn't great, but just amazing at seeing like some of the difficulty of shots that he could still make at that age, and him post tearing his Achilles, because people forget about that. That he tore his Achilles. I forgot what year, but he came back from that, and he finished his career in 2016, and man, just an unbelievable final game. So cool. Dwayne Wade and Willis Reed. Dwayne Wade is one of the best shooting guards ever. The dude was so prolific. In my opinion, he's the best Miami Heat player ever. I think he means the most in that franchise. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Kevin McHale. Kevin McHale, again, was on some great Celtic team, great player, but we're going with Kareem, man. Kareem is my second greatest player ever. I believe he won 6 championships and 6 MVPs. Maybe it was 5. I don't remember, but the dude was absolutely fantastic. Look at his basketball reference page. It's insane. Allen Iverson and Jason Kidd. Ooh, this is a hard one because I'm a big Jason Kidd guy. When he was on those net teams, man, he was a fantastic player. Good all around. But I'm going AI here. I think AI did more with less. Like he led some of those Sixers, especially that 2000-2001 Sixers team to the NBA Finals that really wasn't that great. I know the East wasn't that great either, but still leading them to the NBA Finals was a great accomplishment. And he averaged nearly 30 points a game for his career. Like he was just a fantastic player. Kevin Durant and Gary Payton, the glove, a great defensive player, but I'm going with probably the most skilled scorer ever, Kevin Durant. Like there's nothing on the court that guy can't do. He can pull it from anywhere. Kevin Durant moves on. Dirk Nowitzki and Reggie Miller. Reggie Miller was a fantastic three-point shooter, but Dirk was a little more versatile. I think the greatest shooting big man ever. And he had one of the best postseason runs, probably the best postseason run ever for a basketball player in 2011. Dirk moves on. Will Chamberlain and Paul Reason. I'm even surprised that he's on this list, but got to go Wilt. I mean, come on. The guy averaged like 50 points for a season. The guy averaged over 30 points a game for his career. I know he didn't play against the biggest competition and stuff, but it's Will Chamberlain. Elgin Baylor and James Harden. James Harden, man, that guy in his prime for the Rockets, like, I mean, he had some electric seasons. I know he came up small in the playoffs, but when you look at his stats, like he was just a fantastic player. But Elgin Baylor was great. I mean, in his time, like so many people would say that he was best basketball player of his era. And that holds a lot of weight to me. So I will always give the nod to players who are the best of their era. I don't think James Harden was ever the best of his era. He was one of the best, but he was overshadowed by guys like LeBron and Steph Curry and Kevin Durant. He wasn't better than those guys. I'm going Elgin Baylor here. Manu Ginobili and Hakeem Olajuwon. Manu was a really good player, a great six-man, but I mean, this is no competition whatsoever. I think number 11 for Hakeem is like perfect. He kind of bounces around between 10 and 11 for me. And Olajuwon, talk about a great defensive player and skilled big man, that's him. Charles Barkley and Dominique Wilkins. Dominique Wilkins was a great player on some Hawk teams that weren't really that great. But Charles Barkley, man, I mean, that guy was a force. It's a shame that he never won a NBA championship, but he was a fantastic player and one of the best power forwards ever. All right, guys, and so that wraps up round 1, and we are going to get into round 2 here in a second. So let me slide over to the round of 32. So leave a comment below on which matchup that you would have reversed. I think most of these matchups were pretty self-explanatory, but maybe there's a few like Jason Kidd and Allen Iverson that you disagree with. So Leave that in the comments. Now let's get into the round of 32. We got Michael Jordan and George Mikan. I mean, Michael Jordan's going to probably win this thing, but George Mikan, great career, but you're not moving on. Moses Malone and Jerry West. Ooh, this is a hard one. The logo against Moses Malone. I'm going Moses Malone here. This might be a surprise for some, but look at his level of dominance. I mean, he was just a great, great player. Not saying Jerry West wasn't, but Moses Malone was awesome. Tim Duncan and Isaiah Thomas. I'm going Tim Duncan. I think Tim Duncan is like the most accomplished player ever. Like, if you look at all of his hardware, NBA championships, MVPs, finals MVPs, all-star games, all NBA teams, all defensive teams, all that stuff. He had a fantastic career. Not saying Isaiah Thomas didn't, but not to the level of Tim Duncan. Shaq and Kevin Garnett. Ooh, this is a good one. I think Kevin Garnett, maybe all around, is better than Shaq. More skilled. But for a level of dominance and taking over a game, very few people match Shaq. Shaq is moving on. Shaq and Tim Duncan, all that. That second round matchup's going to be tough. Magic Johnson and Chris Paul. Magic Johnson, I mean, yeah, for an all-time point guard list, nobody's ever going to say Chris Paul is better than Magic Johnson. Oscar Robertson, and David Robinson. I'm going David Robinson here. I know Oscar Robertson was a great player, and maybe I'm a little biased, but I never watched him play, and I watched David Robinson play, and the Admiral was a great player, man. I mean, he was a good shooter for a big man, a fantastic defensive player, a force underneath, really skilled. I'm going David Robinson here. Bill Russell and Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen, very good basketball player, very good defensively, but I mean, we're talking about arguably the best big man ever. Like him, Shaq, Wilt, Kareem. It's almost like 1A through 1D, but Bill Russell is widely regarded as one of the greatest big men of all time and one of the best basketball players of all time. I don't think anyone says Scottie Pippen is, so Bill's moving on. Steph Curry and Karl Malone. Karl Malone was great. If you would have asked me 10, 15 years ago, if Karl Malone is the top 10 basketball player, he's probably in there then, but then some people have surpassed him for sure. It's Steph Curry. Steph Curry has just revolutionized the game of basketball, and he's the greatest shooter of all time. So that's that half. Now let's get into the other half here. LeBron and Steve Nash. Nash is great, but you ain't getting past Bron. Bron has been at a level of consistency for 20 years. And he's better at, passing. Nash isn't that much better of a passer than LeBron is. Shooting, it's pretty close. Defensively, LeBron, even though LeBron's not a great defensive player, but Nash is pretty bad. So LeBron's moving on. Julius Erving and Giannis. I love Giannis, but Julius Erving in his era was basketball. That guy was electric. Watch his highlights, man. I mean, that guy was doing stuff with the ball that nobody could do. He's moving on. Larry Bird and John Stockton. John Stockton, great player, fantastic. But we're talking about some of the best players of all time. We're talking about Larry Bird, a guy with like no weakness, great handling skills, good shooter, good defensive player, has the accolades. He's moving on. Kobe and Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade was a good player, but you're not Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was an assassin on the court. I'm taking over games, leading bad Laker teams to the playoffs, like that '06 team. Like, that team stunk. And Kobe averaged 35 a game, right? I don't remember if that was 05 or '06, but he was just absolutely fantastic when he was scoring like 60 points a game for like a 2-week stretch. Crazy. Kareem and Allen Iverson. It's Kareem. Allen Iverson was a great player, but again, we're talking about the goats of the goats. Kevin Durant and Dirk Nowitzki. Ooh, this is a tough one. I feel like the later Kevin Durant gets in his career, I feel like the lower he goes on my all-time list. I still have to put him over Dirk Nowitzki, though. Like, I think as an all-around basketball player, I think he's better, but it's so close. Like, I think if I wake up tomorrow, I think I might pick Dirk Nowitzki. I'm picking Kevin Durant for now, but comment below who you think should move on between Durant and Dirk Nowitzki. I'm going Kevin Durant right now, though. Wilt and Elgin Baylor. I'm going Wilt. It's got to be Wilt. Elgin Baylor was a great player, but Wilt Chamberlain was a force to be reckoned with. The only person that could stop him, or at least maintain him, was Bill Russell. Hakeem and Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley was great, but all-around basketball player, Hakeem was absolutely fantastic, and probably the best, probably like a top 3 defensive player ever. And Charles Barkley was not. So that rounds up 32. Now we're going to get into the Sweet 16. So this is when it starts getting spicy. We got Michael Jordan and Moses Malone. Moses Malone, you've made it this far, and you are fantastic, but you ain't Michael Jordan. 6-0 in the finals. Look at his basketball reference page. His points per game totals, especially early in his career, were amazing. Michael Jordan's moving on. Tim Duncan and Shaq. It might be a shocker to some people. I'm going Tim Duncan here. I think as an overall, all-around basketball player, I think he was more polished than Shaq was. More dominant, Shaq, of course, but better all around. And if you take into account longevity, Tim Duncan, for sure. And he has all the accolades. Like, not saying Shaq doesn't, 3-time champion, MVP, but Tim Duncan was just unbelievable. Magic Johnson and David Robinson. This is where David Robinson's end, or this is where his run ends. He was a great basketball player all around, but Magic Johnson was he was the 80s, right? I mean, just leading those Showtime Laker teams deep in the playoffs, NBA championships, MVPs. Like, he was a fantastic player. Magic, best point guard of all time. Bill Russell and Steph Curry. This is such a hard comparison because it's 2 different eras, right? It's 2 different eras, but I have to stay consistent with my methodology here, which is if you were one of the best players in your era compared to your competition, like that means something to me. I know Bill Russell played against, like 10 other teams or something like that, sure. And I know Steph Curry played in a harder era. I get it. But if we're talking about all-around basketball player, and we're talking about being the best of the best in your era, I have to go with Bill Russell here. I got to be consistent. Because no one's picking Steph Curry over LeBron. No one's picking Steph Curry over... I'm trying to think of even other players here. He's probably the second best player about his era. Some people might pick Kevin Durant over him. I don't think I would. But in a few years, spoiler alert, I think people are going to pick Nikola Jokic over Steph Curry. Give Nikola Jokic about 4 or 5 more years, especially if that guy wins another NBA championship and another MVP or 2. Like, that guy's going to be in the top 10 players ever, for sure. So Bill Russell's moving on. Man, that is a stacked Elite 8 over there. Sweet 16 here. LeBron and Julius Erving. Julius Erving, great player, but you're not LeBron James. A model of consistency for 20 years, always been in title contention. I know when he was in the East stunk, but I got to give kudos to LeBron. Kobe and Larry Bird. Whew. This is almost the Tim Duncan and Shaq comparison. Oh, no. What was the matchup earlier? Was it Shaq and Kevin Garnett? How I said that Kevin Garnett maybe was a better all-around player than Shaq, and that's what I feel about Larry Bird and Kobe. I think Kobe was better at scoring the basketball, and he could take over a game like only Michael Jordan could. I think Larry Bird was a better passer. Defensively, I think Kobe was probably better defensively. Kobe was great on defense. I'm going Kobe Bryant here. I know some people would pick Larry Bird, but I'm going Kobe. Maybe I'm biased because I grew up watching him. Kareem and Kevin Durant. It is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Let's not fool ourselves here. Kevin Durant, great player, but you're not Kareem. Wilt Chamberlain and Hakeem Olajuwon. This is close, man. Because it's 2 totally different eras, right? But kind of like Bill Russell, I got to stay consistent. I got to pick the guy who was one of the best of his era. I know that they didn't play against a lot of teams, but I'm going with Wilt. Not saying that Hakeem wasn't one of the best players of his era. He was. but Wilt and Bill Russell were the top 2 players of their era. So he's moving on. Elite 8, Michael Jordan and Tim Duncan, Magic Johnson, Bill Russell, LeBron and Kobe, and Kareem and Wilt. I mean, does it get any more stacked than that? Tim Duncan, like I said, probably the most accomplished player ever. He's not beating Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is moving on. Magic Johnson and Bill Russell. This is where my love for Bill Russell ends. Bill Russell was a fantastic player, but Magic Johnson was the best player in the 80s and in a harder era of basketball. So that's the tiebreaker. If you are the best player of your era, or at least one of the best players of your era, and your era is significantly more difficult than the previous eras, then I'm going to pick you. And Magic Johnson, that criteria fits him over Bill Russell. LeBron and Kobe. My heart wants to say Kobe Bryant, but I cannot deny LeBron James. I can't. The dude can do anything on basketball court. I'm not saying Kobe couldn't, but LeBron could shoot. He could play inside. He was a fantastic player. I want to say Kobe so bad, but I gotta stay consistent. I can't let my Kobe love take over. I'm going LeBron James. Kareem and Wilt Chamberlain. These are like almost the same player, right? Just level of dominance. Best players of their eras. Kareem was the best player of the 70s. Like, look at his seasons with the Bucks. I mean, he was a force to reckon with. Guy averaged like 33 points or 34 points a game with the Bucks and like 15, 16 rebounds. Just unbelievable. And he has the MVPs and he has the championships. I'm going Kareem Abdul-Jabbar here. Final 4. Oh, man. Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson, LeBron and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. This is hard, but I'm going Michael Jordan here. I know Magic Johnson is just fantastic. He's the best point guard of all time. But I think Michael was better defensively. I think Michael had a better mid-range game. Michael took over games more. Magic was the best distributor of basketball probably ever, but Michael Jordan's moving on. And his level of success in the postseason is just unmatched. LeBron and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. See, many people don't know this, but my second best player of all time is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And I'm choosing him over LeBron James because of what I've said. Now, LeBron, yes, he is the best player of the 2000s and best player of the Kobe's probably the best player of the 2000s. LeBron definitely of the 2010s for sure. But Kareem's level of dominance was even greater than LeBron's. Like I said earlier, with all those MVPs, all those NBA championships, all the personal accolades, he surpasses LeBron James. I'm going Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So championship, Michael Jordan and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It's such a hard comparison because it's two totally different eras, but I have to stay consistent in my takes and just, if we're talking best of the best in their era, best of the best amongst their peers, everyone says Michael Jordan. And I am going to take their word for it. Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time, baby. So, comment below again, who is the greatest basketball player of all time? Did I make any mistakes? If I did, make sure that you leave that in the comments as well. It's not going to hurt my feelings. So thank you guys so much for watching this video, and stay tuned for another video coming next week. Have a good one, guys. Peace.